On episode 161 of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we take a look at the on-demand movie, The King of Staten Island. Welcome to He Said, She Said movie reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie tastes take a quick, spoiler-free look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
So we just watched the on-demand movie, The King of Staten Island. I give this movie 3.5 stars. How about you, April?
You know, believe it or not, I might give it a little higher.
Really?
I'm actually going to stick with 3.5 because it was too long.
Okay.
And it was. There were a few times when you saw me towards the end.
Uh-huh.
But let's cover it. It was a really good movie, though.
Okay, well, this is the movie about Scott, who has been a case of arrested development since his firefighter dad died. He spends his days smoking weed and dreaming of being a tattoo artist until events force him to grapple with his grief and take his first steps towards his life.
The director was Judd Apatow. He's known for, of course, Trainwreck, Funny People, Knocked Up, and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. He was also a writer. And he's just known for so many other things, including Funny People, Pineapple Express, and Walk Hard, The Dewey Cox Story. And, of course, Pete Davidson. This is his first writing credit.
This had a great little cast, and it had Pete Davidson, Belle Powley, Ricky Velez, Lou Wilson, Moises, Arias, Marisa Tomei, Maude Apatow, which is Judd Apatow's daughter, the comedian Bill Burr, and, of course, the great Steve Buscemi.
The runtime was 136 minutes, rated R for language and drug use throughout, sexual content, and some violence and bloody images.
Okay, so I'll let you go first, April.
I think this was a good movie. I think it was written well. When a movie makes you laugh out loud, and in some scenes I laughed till I couldn't breathe, but at the same time it makes you think about things, life, growth, whatever it is. That's a home run for me. The cast was amazing. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And again, we don't see that very much anymore.
Well, this movie was supposed to be a theatrical release. It was supposed to be out in the theaters this month, and because
I knew a lot of people that were waiting to go
because of
and see it there.
COVID-19, they decided to release it to the streaming services, and you can find this on the on-demand on Comcast or your cable company. You can find it on Amazon Prime to watch. So it's in a lot of different places. It carries a really good theme. I mean, it has this theme of you can't let your past determine your future.
You're right about that.
And the other thing, too, is this is kind of a story about Pete Davidson real life because his dad did die. It was a firefighter, and he did die in 9/11.
Right.
So there is some
parallels with that.
to his
but
real
also,
life.
too, I think a lot of our younger folks are lost. And for different reasons. But this, in this story, obviously the death of his father from a young age, it was almost like he was stuck. He never, ever figured out how to get unstuck. And I think it's really good for people to see that. So I want to take a minute on the cast just for a second and say that Belle Powley, she was amazing. I want to say, Bill Burr, I thought you were so good in this role. I was asking my husband, well, will we see him in other stuff? Will we? Because you were just so real. I love that.
You know, and also, if we're talking about the cast, I'm really happy to see Marisa Tomei working again. We just saw her in something else recently. She's back,
You're right.
I think she's gotten past this whole, what's-his-face, Harvey Weinstein thing and moved on, and now she's getting roles again. She's a really good actress.
Oh, she is. When Tim and I were younger, she was the star. I mean, she was the lady.
But in this movie, too, her character of playing his mother, she was definitely an enabler to his behavior.
But when she figured her own mistakes in this process, she did great.
Oh, yeah, that's a great scene in that when she figures out herself. The direction in this movie, I thought, it's Judd Apatow. What can you say? He's a good director.
Absolutely.
He makes good movies. Score, I didn't find the score noticeable at all in this movie.
No, I didn't
can't remember
either.
the score.
And again, what an opportunity that would have been. And more of a hip movie, if you will.
Cinematography,
it was good.
It was all right. Nothing shout out there. Production design, same thing.
We learned a lot about Staten Island. I haven't been in so many years, but it was interesting.
There was really no special effects other than an opening scene where there was an incident with a car, a car crash kind of thing. So nothing there. Nothing, editing was normal, fine, nothing there. So.
And the pace, just a few times it was a little slow. It could have been a shorter movie. It really went over by, seriously, probably by at least 20 minutes. It was 136 minutes.
Yeah, this was 2 hours
I got
and
up,
16
had to
minutes.
stretch, and towards the end, and it's not that I wasn't so into the movie still. It was just, it was a long movie. And
I remember at one point where we took a break from the movie just for a second to refill water or something. I can't remember. And I saw how much time was left on the movie. I was like, wow, we've gone this far into this movie. It should have been over by now. And there was still 45 minutes to go. So, but it's really, it fills up the 2 hours and 16 minutes.
And Pete Davidson, he was hilarious, heartbreaking. There was a lot of different emotions I had. I think he did a really phenomenal job in this movie and his own acting skills, if you will. I know a lot of people they either really love him or they don't, but I found him to be a credible actor. I enjoyed this, not just, how do I say this? The story, but I enjoyed how they made the story come alive. It was really good.
I enjoyed him in this role. I don't know how much he was playing Pete Davidson in the role.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I really enjoyed him in the role. I hope to see him in other stuff where he stretches his acting abilities. We're going to be, our next episode, we're going to be talking about the horror movie Becky, which has Kevin James, a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Finally playing a villain, playing the antagonist. And We'll talk about that in that movie. But it was great seeing Kevin James doing something else besides comedy. Yeah. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing Pete Davidson play something outside of comedy and Pete Davidson.
I thought that Pete did a good job with that level of cluelessness. I have met people in my life, and I mean this with love, that they just are a tiny bit clueless in the fact that they get in their own movie in their head, their life, and they don't want to get out for any reason. And it was funny the way he stayed in this place in his life. It was unrealistic.
Well, the other thing, too, what I like about this movie is we always talk about the growth of the character, the story arc of the character.
Yeah.
He's got a great story arc.
Oh,
There's
definitely.
One of the things I know for you, it was too long. For me, I just would have liked to have seen just a tad bit more at the end. And that's all I'm not going to say, because I don't want to see this as a spoiler. But I was left slightly unsatisfied.
Okay.
Slightly.
Okay. And I felt at the end, I was kind of joyous where I felt good for him. I'll leave it there.
Right.
I'll leave it there. But I also want to say that I enjoyed all the different relationships as he grew. Sometimes in a movie, in a story, they just show growth with one other person or two, and that's it. This one, he grew with lots of people, from kids that helped him grow, someone his mother was dating helped him grow. Even one of his friends at the end challenged him.
Yes.
And I enjoy watching that because I think that is far more realistic in our world, because I always talk about a village, right? Everyone has that, but not everyone is better for it. I know this sounds kind of deep, but I really enjoyed that part of it. And
it was
he
good.
opened himself up, and look how he grew.
Like I said, this had great story arc for the character, great growth for his character. So, all right. So that is The King of Staten Island. Both April and I give that 3.5 stars. Yeah. I think you really need to see this.
You do, because you'll laugh out loud.
Yeah,
and you'll think, but you'll laugh out loud.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
And we appreciate all your support so much right now. We thank you, and we will see you on the couch.
See you on the couch.